I didn't come here with a clear understanding of what I was meant to find. I came to walk, to observe, and perhaps to learn something along the way. At first, this place feels familiar. The sound of water moving steadily over the rocks, the tall trees, the dry earth beneath my feet. I arrive as an observer, noticing what is visible and naming what I can recognize. I begin by placing this country within my own frame of reference, a way of seeing that feels natural to me. But as I stand here longer, I begin to realize that this way of seeing is limited. I'm not just looking at a place, I'm standing on country. When I walk slowly, I begin to notice more the textured bark of the river red gum, the movement of the grass in the wind. These are not passive elements of a landscape. They are part of a living system. I begin to shift from simply seeing to paying attention. As I walk, I feel the urge to take something, a flower, a leaf, or a small object to remember this place. But then I stop and question myself. Why do I feel the need to take something? What does it mean to learn from a place without removing anything from it? Then I begin to recognize this as extractivism. Extractivism is often understood as the removal of natural resources from land, but it also exists in more subtle ways. It can appear in the way we approach learning. When we treat places as sites to gather from, rather than places to be with. So I leave everything where it is. What I can carry with me instead is not an object, but a shift in thinking. Then I begin to listen more closely to country, water over stone, wind through leaves, and distant birds. These sounds are not separate from the place. They are part of how country expresses itself. Through this, I begin to understand that knowledge is not only found in books or taught in classrooms. Indigenous knowledge systems are not separate from place. They are relational, embodied, and sustained through ongoing connection with country. Suddenly, at one point, I lose my way and I'm unsure of where am I. Immediately, I reach for my phone and open Google Maps, trying to find the way back. At that moment, I begin to reflect on what it means to navigate. For thousands of years, the traditional owners of this land have navigated differently through songs, stories, waterways, or the movement of animals. Their knowledge is not extracted from country and stored somewhere else. It is lived with country. As I approach the weir at Buckley Falls, the river's flow is interrupted and reshaped for human use. Standing here, I begin to think about possession. When Europeans arrived, they declared this land terra nullius, as if it were empty and unowned. The weir reflects a similar logic of control, but through indigenous perspectives, possession is not about ownership, but belonging. Not that people own country, but that country holds people. As I continue walking, my pace slows, and I notice more. The ground beneath my feet, the subtle variations in sound. Country begins to guide my attention in ways that I had not noticed before. I begin to experience country not as something external to me, but as something I am in relationship with. This is what it means to come alongside. Not to lead, not to take, not to define, but to walk with. And I begin to notice how much my perspectives shifted, not because country has changed, but because I am starting to think differently about it. When I think back to my first walk, I notice how much has changed. I arrived seeing country through my own assumptions, my own experiences, and my own ways of knowing. But through walking, pausing, listening, and reflecting, my frame of reference has begun to shift. I'm not just learning about country, I am becoming aware that my own assumptions influence what I notice. Country does not belong to me, its knowledge is not mine to take, and my role is not to extract, but to listen. What I carry with me is not something I have taken from country, but a changed way of seeing, of thinking, and of being.